Hi, I'm Stephen Bajali. I'm the Associate Dean here in the School of Library and Information Science. I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about what it means to be a successful graduate student and try and give you some tips and techniques that'll help you get through the program successfully. First thing I want to tell you is that remember, this is graduate school. It's going to be a bit different than when you were an undergraduate. You're really in charge. We take that very seriously. We understand that you know what you want to do. We try and keep our rules as minimal as possible, and we look at it that you take the lead. There aren't going to be a lot of times where we're going to prod you and encourage you to get in touch with us. We want you to be in charge and take the lead on doing that. You should also keep in mind that this is really an investment in your future. You're going to be taking classes that are going to give you a long view, hopefully a career that will last 30, 40 years. So you want to keep that in mind, that we're going to try and teach you some tips and techniques that will be good for you throughout your time working, not necessarily giving you just material that's going to be good at your first day on the job. And besides, you probably don't know, and we certainly don't know, what job you're going to take when you graduate. So it's important that we give you a broad view of the field of library and information science. Also, when you think about making an investment, you want that investment to pay off. So again, you're in charge. We want you to get the most out of your education that you can. We're here for your success, and we want to help you. But it's really important that you're in the driver's seat and that you do everything you can to make this investment pay off. So you need to start by thinking about what is it that you really want to achieve as a graduate student. Are you looking to move up in your current position? Are you looking to get a position? Are you looking to change careers? What is it that you really want to do? And that's really an important thing. And I imagine for a lot of you, as it was for me, and I see with a lot of other students, that may change over your time being a graduate student. You may come in now saying, I know that I want to work in a particular environment, and after you take a class or two, you may change. Well, that's all well and good. We love that. The field of library and information science is really broad. There's lots of opportunities, lots of different career choices, and you're certainly welcome to do that. But it's important for you to keep in mind what it is that you actually want to achieve and why it is that you're here in graduate school. I think it's also important that you do an ongoing self-assessment. Make sure that you're ready for the job that you want to take. We do a lot to promote the positions that are available out in the world. We track lots of jobs. We promote them for students. I think it's important for you to start looking at these and seeing what it is that employers are looking to hire. And you want to make sure that you have the in-demand skills that employers are seeking today. In terms of your academic success, the first thing that we do is that we have course sequencing. So depending upon the number of courses that you take in a given semester, you're going to start with 60-10, which is our introduction to the profession, and then you're going to take 60-80, which is our introduction to information technology. You may be thinking right now that, hey, I know a lot about technology. I use a computer every day. I do a lot of social media. I certainly send email and texts. Give it some thought. Maybe you should exempt and get out of 60-80. We certainly recommend that. You pay a lot of tuition money, so don't take a class that you don't need. We will give you plenty of information about how you can go about waiving 60-80 or any other courses that you may have taken in another degree program, because we want you to take stuff that's going to be helpful in the future and not repeats of coursework that you've already taken. When it comes to a course load, you want to give some thought to what else do you have going on in your life. Most of us, school is not the only thing that we do. So you may have a job, you may have more than one job. You may have a spouse or significant other, maybe kids, maybe taking care of parents. What else do you have going on in your life? And so you want to think about how much time do you really have to devote to school. We encourage our students to think about budgeting at least 10 hours a week per course. So if you're taking 2 courses, that's 20 hours a week. If you're working full-time, working plus school, right there, you're up to 60 hours a week. That's a lot. If you need to go a little slower to get done, quite honestly, that's the best route. Going so quickly that you drive yourself and everybody around you crazy is not the way to be a successful graduate student. You're much better off to slow down a little bit. Honestly, we say to most students, if you're working, 2 classes at a time is the most you ought to take. We allow you to register for 3, but we certainly recommend 2 or even 1. Going through more slowly, absorbing the material, making connections, really getting a lot out of your graduate education. Again, it's back to what I said before. You want to make sure that this investment pays off. And the way to do that is to really engage with your studies. And the way to do that is to not take on too much. You may be thinking, gee, if I just get in too deep, I'll take an incomplete. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And at Wayne State, you only have 2 weeks to get your tuition money back. So you really need to think up front, how much time do I have to devote to school this semester, and don't take on too much. And when it does come to incompletes, they're really only for extenuating circumstances that come about at the end of the term. So it's only if you have a real crisis, and who wants that? You don't want a crisis, but if you have one, we certainly give incompletes for legitimate reasons, but just taking on too much work and then deciding that you can't handle it, unfortunately, is not a reason that you'll get an incomplete in a course. We will be asking you to file a plan of work that we typically call a POW, and you'll do that after you complete 9 hours. So again, depending upon how many courses you take at a time, that's probably going to be at the end of your first or your second semester in the school. The plan of work is really nothing more than an indication of what courses you intend to take while you're a student in the school. You can change at any time, but it's really your contract with us. That, hey, if you do well in these classes that you pick, the 6 core courses and the 6 electives, and you get satisfactory grades, B or better, we'll give you a diploma at the end of it. So it's your contract with us, your indication to us as to what it is you intend to take while a student. When you file your plan of work, it will get signed by your advisor, and then we keep track of that record. But as I say, you can change it at any time, but you want to make sure that your plan of work corresponds to the classes that you intend to take and have taken. Because when you go to graduate, we're going to check and make sure that the classes that you actually took match up with the classes that were on your plan of work. If you don't follow this plan of work at the end of 9 hours, the university registration system automatically places a hold on your account. So you want to keep this in mind. You don't want to have a hold on registration. You can also meet with your advisor if you want some advice about which classes to take, or you can just submit it and we'll send it to your advisor and they'll review it and approve it. But the advisor has to sign your plan of work before it becomes official and gets filed in your account. We also do what we call a student academic review, or SAR, every semester. In the SAR review, we're looking at your progress and how well you're doing in your classes. All that happens is if an instructor says to us that, hey, I think that a particular student isn't doing too well, doesn't seem to be making satisfactory academic progress, and I'm a bit concerned, then we get in touch with you and we say, hey, this instructor said that they're a little concerned about your progress. It's designed really to minimize any probation or dismissal. It's sort of an early warning system. We want to make sure that you're on track, that you meet with your advisor, that you stay in touch with your instructors, because again, we want you to be successful. We also encourage you that if you have any course-related issues, to get in touch with your instructor as soon as possible. Ahead of time is much better than after the fact. Letting them know if you have a problem or that something's come up in your life and is going to be an issue in terms of completing your academic work. You want to at least alert them as to what the situation is. Satisfactory academic progress policy says that if you get 1 F or more than 1 WF, which is a withdrawal fail, then we're going to dismiss you from the school. So keep that in mind. We think being a graduate student is serious business, and you shouldn't be getting any Fs. That's probably different than what you encountered as an undergrad. In graduate school with us, 1 F or more than 1 WF, we give you 1 opportunity to withdraw from a course where you would have failed it if you stayed till the end. but after that we dismiss you from the school. We allow you to come back in most instances after a year, but you don't want to have to go through readmission. So keep that in mind, that you don't want to get an F. There's lots of important dates over the course of the semester. You want to track that through the academic calendar. Maybe include those in your own calendar that, as I mentioned before, you can only drop with getting tuition refund in the first 2 weeks of the semester. After that, you can leave a class, but Wayne State's going to keep your money. In terms of withdrawal, that starts in the 5th week of the semester during a fall or winter term. It's a bit different depending upon if you take a compressed summer class, but typically it's about a third of the way through the course of whatever term that you're taking. And after that, it requires your instructor to give you permission to withdraw from the course. You're going to need to get in touch with them. They're going to need to look it over. They're going to need to decide. And they would need to give you a grade. And that's going to be either that at the time of withdrawal that you're withdrawal passing, which WP, or withdrawal failing, the WF. As I mentioned before, we allow you to get one of those, but more than one, and we're going to dismiss you. And then by the 10th week of the semester, there's no withdrawals. You have to stick through the course till the end. So keep in mind, too, that this process of doing all this, it doesn't happen immediately. So you've got to allow some time for the instructor to receive your request if you decide you do want to withdraw, and then allow them to process it. And it all has to be done within the deadlines set by the university academic calendar. Keep in mind, there's really a lot of negative consequences if you go to withdraw. First off, you don't get your money back. That's probably the biggest. You've spent the considerable amount of tuition. So I said in the beginning, you want to keep in mind how much can you really absorb. If you withdraw, it may affect your financial aid. You may have to return or repay a portion of the money. It may affect how much future financial aid you're going to get. It's going to affect you academically in that it's going to take increased costs. It's going to take you longer to get your degree. You're going to get a W on your transcript. And also the instructor can deny the request. So you really want to minimize, really eliminate withdrawals. They're there in special circumstances, but do what you can not to get a withdrawal. You'll also find at the end of your degree or certificate program that we do a learning outcomes assessment. And we do that through the electronic portfolio process. So what this means is that we do an assessment of your learning and the extent to which you've achieved the learning outcomes that we have for each degree or certificate in the school. And you do that in your last semester, the semester that you go to graduate. And so the e-portfolio, the electronic portfolio, it focuses on the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and capabilities you develop by studying for the degree or certificate. So you'll find a lot of information online, and you'll hear from us when the time comes and you're getting ready to graduate, but you can look at it now. We ask you to write a reflective essay. You provide some sample artifacts, which are examples of assignments that you took that help to indicate why you meet these required learning outcomes. And then you provide evaluative statements, basically what you got out of the particular course or assignment or project, and then you include a professional resume. But more about that when you get ready to graduate, but just keep in mind that in order to do that, it is a graduation requirement for any degree or certificate in the school that you have to complete the e-portfolio process. I know I've gone over a lot in this presentation, so I want you to keep in mind that you can find a wealth of information on the school website, www.slis.wayne.edu. I encourage you at any time to look there. We've got a good search box. Find lots of information, read about what we have going on, how things are operating in the school. We really try and be very transparent and really treat everyone the same. So we do as much as we can to get the information out there so you're well informed as you're studying to be an information professional. I think it's important for you to start by looking at the school policies. review our academic progress policy, any other policies that you see there, to make sure, because we're going to do our darndest to apply these evenly and fairly across all students. You want to stay informed about what's going on in the school and in the profession, and to do that, we do a lot of email. So we want you to check your Wayne State email at least a few times a week. Probably more than that would be even better. We realize a lot of people don't want to do that much email these days, but it is the method that we use to communicate. So a lot of important material will come to you through email, and it's important that you just build it into your daily process, or at least multiple times a week, to check that email. If you prefer another account than your Wayne State email, that's fine. You can go into our system and forward your email to that account. But keep in mind, we only email to your Wayne State University email address. So it's important that you either check the Wayne State system at connect.wayne.edu or have it forwarded to something like Gmail that you do check on a very regular basis. And then finally, we have a number of discussion lists. You'll be subscribed to one by the school that is our general list that goes out to a couple thousand subscribers that gives information about events and various other points of information that we think it's important for students to have. There's a separate students-only discussion list that you can subscribe to that isn't checked by any faculty or staff or administrator, that it's just for students to have their own place to ask questions and communicate with one another. And then we have our jobs list, where we post typically 10 to 20 jobs a day. So you can get this in digest form, so you get all the messages in one email, so you don't have to get the 10 individual ones. But I think it's important to start tracking where are the positions, who's hiring, what parts of the country look like a good place to get a job. And this LIS Jobs is really a wealth of information for you there. Let me thank you for spending time, a few minutes with me today to talk about your academic success. Again, all of us here in the school are very interested in your success. That's why we're here. We want you to get the most out of your education. We want you to really make the most. We understand that you're paying a lot of tuition, and we want that to pay off for you. And we're your partners here. But it's really up to you. You're the one that's in charge, and you're the one that has to make the experience work out for you.